When you enter a chaotic mess, you got to break some eggs. I mean, look around the country right now. Magic entered an organization in utter chaos for 5 years. In fact, he admitted in the article, or yesterday on TV, his only regret was not just firing more people and bringing in his own guys, but Magic's a nice guy, came in, and instead of just firing everybody, he thought he could change people. But there's a lot of bad habits that are developed at companies that are in chaos, and it's hard to turn them around. But look at the current juggernauts in American business. Amazon. Who runs Amazon? Jeff Bezos. Getting divorced, and his reputation is tough and demanding on employees. Google it. Apple, Steve Jobs. Read the books. I did. Not easy on employees when he was building the empire. Tesla, Elon Musk. Beyond intense. Tantrums, rants. Hollywood, James Cameron twice has had the #1 movie of all time, Titanic and Avatar. Difficult to work with. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg doesn't even get along with the guys he started the company with. Microsoft, Clipper owner Steve Ballmer once threw a chair reportedly at an employee who was leaving for Google. All right, man. Listen, when you're starting American business or cleaning up American business, warm and fuzzy is not the way that it generally works. You got to break some eggs. You got to fire some, mediocre people. And if an organization is in chaos for 5 years, you know what that tells me? You got a lot of average employees and you got a lot of bad habits. Because to be a bad company, you got to have bad habits. Not necessarily bad employees, but they get into bad habits. And this is an organization that's been a mess for years, and Magic came in. And now, I think his biggest regret, and I think he said it yesterday, was he didn't just clean house. He kind of took a lot of the people that were there and said, okay, I'm going to change these people, and that's really difficult. And let me add this. I'm from the West Coast, but I lived on the East Coast for 11 years. And when I used to work in Portland or Las Vegas or sometimes in Los Angeles now, people will say, man, Colin is intense. You know what they said about me on the East Coast? Colin just works a lot. On the East Coast, is this a story? Like LA's chill, LA's laid back, LA's warm. LA, they don't honk the horns despite our traffic. It's very laid back. And Magic's like, we can't be laid back. We got to break some eggs. We got to fire people. We got to get after people. We got to be rough. And yeah, I mean, listen, one of the reasons that I loved the East Coast when I lived on it, didn't love the weather, but one of the things I loved about the people, they were harsh and they were authentic. If somebody didn't like you out East, they just tell you. They just tell you. And I always appreciated it. It's very intense. People work very hard. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's smaller states with more people packed in them, the density and the competitive nature of the East Coast. But it is intense, and I love that part about the East Coast. Nobody ever called me, intense, workaholic. They're like, yeah, Colin puts in the hours. They appreciated it. And it's like, yeah, if you want to be great, you're going to ruffle some feathers. And I just think, I read a story where 2 people had panic attacks, and I'm like, okay, either I don't know the whole story and there's more to it, or Lakers just weren't used to putting in the hours and having a demanding boss. And I don't think, by the way, Magic was the perfect fit, but I don't buy that he's lazy. I do think Magic picked the wrong job for his current skill set and his current hours that he's available. I just don't think he's available for 65 hours of grinding and minutia as a general manager or a president of a team. So if Magic had any fault, he picked the wrong job for him. He not that he wasn't qualified, but there are different stages in life. 27-year-old Magic, had he never played, would be perfect maybe. 37, 47. Listen, man, he takes summers off. He goes out in a yacht with his friends. Okay, this is not the time for him to be a grinder. That's just the reality of Magic. He's an American superstar. I think Alex Rodriguez is really smart, but he's got so many side businesses, I don't want him running my baseball team. That's not a knock on them. It's a reality with them. Magic side for this. Let me shift to this. Anthony Davis is meeting with the Pelicans' new GM, David Griffin, today. They're having a lunch. And this is going to be the most important lunch in the last decade in the NBA. This is potentially a breakup lunch. Because I think Anthony Davis has to do something today that Anthony Davis has never been comfortable doing, and that's being confrontational. According to sources, Anthony Davis will meet with the Pelicans' big shot, David Griffin, today. The knock on Anthony Davis around the NBA from the executives and the scouts is that he's not confrontational. He's not really a leader. He's a little soft. He's not an alpha. He's not a guy that's going to carry a team on his back. LeBron can do that. Michael could do that. Kobe could do that. We've had players who can do that. That's not his personality. And I'm very interested today to see if he is capable of going and sitting down at that lunch and making it very uncomfortable and very confrontational and very authentic and saying, I didn't want to be here 2 months ago. Why would I want to be here now? A new general manager in Zion don't change the realities of New Orleans basketball. Listen, the South is the home of college football. It's got the most good players, the most good coaches, the best fans. But the history of the NBA has never started or ended in Atlanta or Charlotte. Heck, Dallas can't even land top free agents generally. NBA stars have historically gravitated to some big coastal cities. Now, I'm not saying David Griffin can't win. He's a really smart guy. And I'm not saying Zion doesn't have just unbelievable Magic Johnson magnetism. I just absolutely love the kid. But it's funny with this lunch, Anthony Davis really controls free agency, and we're no longer talking about him. We're talking about Kyrie and KD and Kawhi. It actually starts with Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis sits down at lunch today and does something that he doesn't like to do, confront, alpha, be strong, lead, not back down, head on, be intense, and say, what's changed? A 19-year-old kid that played at Duke? This is not the hub of NBA basketball. I wasn't happy at all 6 months ago, 5, 4, 3, 2. It's not my future. And then if he says to the Pelicans, listen, let's make it amicable. Let's make a deal quickly. Get the best possible allotment of players and picks you can. Here's the 3 cities all playing, whatever they are. L.A., New York, Dallas, whoever. Now, the Pelicans, he can make it difficult for them and say, I'll just say publicly, I'm not going to go play. Don't trade me to Detroit. Don't trade me to somewhere I don't want to go. But I think it's a very interesting lunch, and we've forgotten about Anthony Davis. If I'm Anthony Davis and I didn't want to be there 6 months ago at a company, I'm not changing my opinion just because we got a new GM. I'm looking at the company's history. I'm looking at the personnel. This is still a complete rebuilding team with Anthony Davis and with Zion. It's still a rebuilding team. It's the West. Anthony Davis has been in 2 playoff series in his career. It's still the West. LeBron's coming back next year. I mean, look around the West. Look at where some of these free agents could land. Jimmy Butler could be coming out West. Kawhi is coming out West. So this is a fascinating lunch. It's a massively important lunch. And if Anthony Davis, unless he's just got split personality, is he willing to be what his critics say he isn't? Demanding, confrontational, uncomfortable, alpha, and just say, make a deal. Because, by the way, if he says that and they trade him to New York, it's going to change free agency. Now Kevin Durant's like, I don't even need Kyrie. I got Anthony Davis. If he gets traded to Brooklyn, Kyrie can say, I don't need Kevin Durant. I can go Anthony Davis. If he gets traded to the Lakers, wow, that changes the league. So I'll be very interested in what comes from this lunch. And if Anthony Davis does what I think is best for him, because he's made up his mind, then the Pelicans can build around Zion and Drew Holiday. Those are excellent pieces. And Anthony Davis can kickstart free agency, but he's going to have to sit down. This is a breakup lunch. Anybody watching my show, listening to my show, you ever had a breakup lunch? Get a stomachache driving to it? You're like, this is going to be awful. This could be terrible. All you managers watching, ever gone to lunch knowing you're going to have to fire somebody? All you women broke up with men, ever driven to that lunch knowing you're going to have to dump him? I mean, that's what this lunch is if you're Anthony Davis and you're true to what you want, and I think we all know what he wants. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.